Hello, Echo City Church, and we are excited today. Very, very excited because we get to be with this happy couple here in front of us, Brian and Jamie. And
So happy.
as you know, we're in a series at the moment. The serious things happy couples know. And if we can know what happy couples think like, right? We can act like happy couples act. And so that's the whole premise, is the idea of that God says, I got a new commandment, and I want you to love one another as Christ loved us and gave himself up. And man, how crazy is that thought? That thought's insane to think about. And that's why today we thought we would get together with this beautiful couple who do so much at our church. I mean, Brian, you do the Trailer Boys.
Yep. Trailer Park Boys.
Trailer Park Boys.
Trailer Park Boys.
You do the Trailer Park Boys.
Yep.
You help me out on the back end with a lot of the leadership stuff. Jamie, you're really the spearheading Rooted. And man, we just saw that was 40 people have already gone through Rooted, saying, man, I'm free from what I used to be. And man, how cool
I'm the
is
Rooted
that?
poster child.
And so you have Rooted, but you have city groups, and you do so much at our church. And we just wanted to grab a happy couple and say, how do you think as a happy couple? Because I'm pretty sure you're happy, right? I mean,
Most of the time.
how long have you been married for?
We've been married for 21 years.
20. And how many of those years have you been actually happy?
For the first 15, off and on, we were happy for the most part, but the
There was
last...
a lot of that tug of war stuff going on the first 15, I would say.
But this last 5 years, since we got connected with church and let Jesus into our marriage, our marriage has been on steroids.
Yes.
Whew.
So.
That's cool. No, not actual steroids, right?
Maybe a little.
I'm joking. So, tell me, how did you guys meet?
We met over a bet and a beer. See,
But I didn't know it was a bet and a beer.
she didn't know it was a bet and a beer, but we met at Assumption Church. We always like to tell people we met at church. Really, we met at a bazaar. And
Oh, that's bizarre.
right, it was bizarre. And I was there with a buddy of mine from college who he was pretty awkward and shy at the time, and so I was trying to just coach him up on, how to go talk to a lady.
Come on.
And he was like, all right, Mr. Big Shot, if
You're a smooth criminal.
if you see that girl standing over there, if you go talk to her, I'll buy you a beer. I was like, sweet, free beer. So I approached her, and luckily we had met before years back, and so I had that connection. So I'm talking to her, and she walked away to go back into one of the booths to get a pen and get me her number. Well, my buddy's walking around coming to harass me.
Oh, I would have done that to you.
Oh, absolutely. And about the time he's getting ready to come over, she comes back with her phone number. So I just pulled my Babe Ruth and just pointed at the beer booth and said,
How do you
go.
like dim apples?
Yeah, this was back before cell phones.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when you actually had to write down somebody's phone number.
Ooh, okay. We met at church too.
Yeah.
I have. We didn't do it smart though. We basically, I met her in September on your birthday. Our first date was in
September 28th,
October.
2003.
We got engaged in March and married in August.
Yes.
Now, I don't know about you guys. Were you that quick, or
What was that?
did
You
take your
guys
time?
eight
We
months?
we did 8 months.
It was 8 months.
8 months.
Probably
We
the
were-
dumbest thing you could have done. Now.
We were
Not
much,
say
much
that
longer.
either.
Yeah.
We were 18 months.
Yeah, we were 18
We were
months.
18 months.
That's why you're a happy couple.
Actually, though, the funny part is don't they say, like, it should be a minimum of 2 years dating? I think the Simbas training we did says
Of course, here
2
comes
years.
Simbas.
Right.
2 years is the idea.
Yeah.
It is,
It is.
and we just got married as quick as we can because let's be honest, we were trying to be pure before marriage, and I just wanted to have sex. I'll be real. I felt like that, when the wrestlers come down the aisle,
Right.
when they come down like, That's what I felt like when I was going into the marriage day that day. It's happening today.
Today's gonna be a good day.
Good day. and honestly, like that's why I feel like we had a lot of troubles at the beginning, is because we didn't really take our time and really get to know each other. But you guys didn't. You guys spent, how long were you guys together? You guys were probably together a year and a half, right? Is that what you said?
A year and a half total.
Yep.
So we dated for 6 months
Yep.
and got engaged, and then we decided we were gonna have a long engagement of a year.
Yep.
Because we had only dated for 6 months, but really even a year engagement wasn't that long. We were not pure. We moved in together in August of 97, and we weren't getting married until March of 98.
Yep.
So,
Wow.
but even so, I felt like that first year we had a lot of bumps and rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like everything was great for 6 months, and then we got engaged, and then we went through this season of fighting like cats and dogs, and then we kind of had to come together and go, all right, are we really going to do this, or are we just playing?
Yeah.
And we chose to come together at that time.
And you bring in that whole expectations thing that you've been talking about, and I came in with these expectations of our family and marriage looking like my parents looked, right? Which was 2 full-time working parents, and he came in with the same expectations of his marriage looking like his dad and stepmoms looked. Well, it was not 2 full-time working parents. It was a full-time working dad, business owner, and then a part-time working stepmom who was also like the homemaker. So we did a lot of that, like my way, your way, my way. Boxing is what it felt like.
Yep. And see, when we were dating, one of the things I used to like to do was I like to cook with her, or cook for her. So I cooked things like veal parmesan. You know, I mean, I went all out.
I'm
I
at my house anytime.
Amazing Italian grandma meals, right?
Yeah. So then we get together and we move in together, and she has this concept that we're gonna alternate nights of
We're gonna take turns
fixing
cooking.
dinner. So
I work full time, you work full time.
So she cooked the first night and it was great, and then the next night she's like, well, what are you making for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know, what do you want? She's like, how about grilled cheese sandwiches and soup? I was like, great, we could do that.
I'm used to veal. I'm used to
So needless to say, 2 grilled cheese sandwiches ended up with 2 full sticks of butter, and you couldn't even pick the things up because they were just soggy.
And because he had actually like made the dinner like I asked him to, I'm sitting there trying to eat it, and I'm like, oh,
This is
interesting.
great.
I'm like, how much better did you do?
See, when we first got married, my wife, she was the best cook.
So growing up for me was a single mom who worked full time, and it was, hey, bowl of cereal, which kind do you like? You know, like
Yeah.
throw in a box of, you know, it wasn't really cooking. So I grew up with just whatever you have, you make, like, and so.
And I think a lot of people don't realize how much their family of origin plays into the fact of their marriages, right? That we kind of just bypass that.
Yeah.
Like you could be in church, you could be in a city group, you could be in Grow Track, you could be on the city team serving, but still have all this kind of what we brought in, this baggage from your family of origin, and it could really play in every single one of our situations, right? I mean, growing up, like my family was very, like we didn't talk about things. Like my mom and dad are pastors. They're incredible individuals, great individuals, but we just swept things under the rug, and we were just happy all the time and just acting like the perfect family. But yet at the same time, there was some hurts, there was some pains. And so like, it's crazy because that's
opposite of how I grew up.
it was opposite of how you grew up.
Hi Mom, you're watching. We were loud. We were loud Italians, and we knew exactly what people thought, and you know, maybe I knew exactly what was going on, and we were very loud and kind of vocalized a lot. So he
So when she
he
got
was not
passionate,
used to that, and I was toning my passion down. Like I was talking like this, I was like hands in the lap. Like,
So you had to teach Joel how to speak Italian.
yeah.
here I am with 3 Italians and that little half-breed over here. What's going on? Yeah, and that was it, man. And she would speak passionately,
Very passionately.
and I would be like, "Hey, calm down." She's like, "I am
He
calm."
would get like you were very loud too. Like you're very loud yourself, and yes.
Yeah. But what I've realized is even in the way we fight, in the way we talk, even when we're happy, we always have to sharpen our tools.
Yeah.
That's
I love how the Bible says that as one man is with another man, is that we sharpen each other by the wisdom, and that's why community is so important.
Absolutely.
But it's funny because like even though we know this, like we don't take time in relationships that like we would take time in everything else in life, right? Like we take time when it comes to looking at a house. We get inspectors. We get a real estate, and we go from house to house to house to house to house, and we make sure that house is solid before we put money down on it. But when we get into relationships, you find out, I'm so happy.
Right.
She's the one, he's the one, right? Like it's just, we just do it quickly. And then we get into the relationship, and I said this last week, we find out that they're on their best behavior.
Yep.
And then what happens? You're in it, and you're in it for life, and then there it is.
Right.
There it is, and you are with that person, and then you're like, but you're not what I used to like. And you're like, what do you have to do? Well, really, marriage is a choice.
It's absolutely a choice.
Right?
Yeah, and like buying a house, you know, like your analogy of getting a realtor and you go from house to house to house, you know, you're getting ready to spend a lot of bucks on buying a house. And so you're going to make sure it's perfect. Well, I think if people would approach their relationships with that same mentality of you're getting ready to spend way more than a lot of bucks, and understand the cost associated with their choices, their actions, I think we wouldn't be seeing 53% of marriages end in divorce right now.
Because marriage is a magnifier, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, like, what was a small moment where she's passionate, it magnifies what's on the inside of you. It's not, you don't go into a relationship to be happy.
Right.
Because I'm sorry to say, they don't make you happy. I mean,
Not at all. No.
There's days where I don't make you happy.
Lots of days. Yeah.
You don't need to agree that fast. We don't need to agree that fast, but it's the truth.
It's the truth.
You don't always get the joy from having that relationship, but when you choose, it's still like this beautiful intimacy that you can't ever find anywhere else, right? Right? And I don't know about you guys. Have you ever came into a moment where you had to say, I choose her. I choose him. I don't know about if you ever feel that way, or if there ever been a moment. And we kind of talked about this, but there was a time where you guys had to like say, I'm in it.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because, you know, there was a point in time for Brian and I, like, back up to dating, and it was like, oh, how cute. He doesn't want me to go do stuff without him. He's so sweet. He loves me so much. He wants to be with me all the time. And then we get married and we start having kids, and I'm like, hey, I want to go with my friends and go see a movie. And he's going, well, how long is it going to be? When are you going to be back? You know, and I suddenly kind of started realizing what I thought was cute and sweet and adorable was actually some like jealousy and insecurity and stuff like that suddenly wasn't so cute and sweet and adorable anymore.
Yeah, God had to fix me, y'all.
God had to fix us. It was both of us. You know, we both brought our baggage, right?
Yes.
Our expectations. We both brought that along with us, and there was a lot of that with the rope. I could just see it the other day, the tug of war, the back and forth, you know. And for me, you said loud for your Italian family, which loud is associated. There's also that like resentment, that's like silent treatment, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to do it my way. I'm going to hold a grudge, got the Italian grudge. I'm
Yep.
just not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you're not talking. And then you're not
Absolutely.
working things out if you're not talking, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because he was supposed to read my mind. He was supposed to read my mind. You know what you did. You know I'm mad because you called for the 10th time asking me when I was going to be home when I was out with my friends. You know what you did.
Yeah.
You know, so that was kind of a two-way.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff we both had to kind of to work through.
I mean, I've never been resentful towards my wife, ever. We never fight about that. But as you said that, like you said that there was a time in your marriage where you're resentful and you're bickering and you're arguing and there's that tug of war. I mean, even today there's still that tug of war of expectations. But what helped you get into a better relationship? Not just having a relationship. Because you can have a roommate,
Right.
or you can have a spouse, right? Like that's, and most people don't realize that relationships do take effort, do take sharpening over and over. So how did you, as even followers of Christ, as the mentality that man, I'm going to follow Christ and I want a good marriage, well, how did you do that? Because I mean, a lot of people out there asking, that's great, they have a great relationship, but how? How would you?
Combination of things.
Right.
So you can touch
Well,
on the first one that you had mentioned before.
You know, for me, you know, the first thing we had to do is we had to let go of me and start thinking about we. And once we, or at least for me, once I got myself out of the way, my desires, what's in it for me, the expectations that I was putting on her to fulfill that were impossible. Once those got kind of taken off the table, and the focus switched to, you know, how can we be good examples to our kids? How can we be happy together? Be that couple that at, you know, 80 years old, people are sitting there going, dang, they still love each other.
Look how cute they are.
Right.
I want to be that
I
couple,
want to be
right?
that couple. Look at them holding hands.
Right.
Better at 70, man. Better at
Better at
70.
70.
Better at 70. And you know what's crazy? I was just reading this in 1 Corinthians 9. You know where Paul talks about, I am all things to all men. You've heard that. The Message says it the best. The Message says it, and it says, I went into the world trying to view it from their perspective. I wanted to see it from their angle. And once we start doing that in our relationship, wow, right? And that's kind of where you said, I had to get rid of me and what I thought she was saying. And say, what does she want from the relationship? What is she seeing? How does she view it? Because I'm pretty sure, like in those arguments where I would be passionate, she was afraid, right? And so I had to sharpen my tools. And the best thing I did was I got around other men who were sharing with me. They're like, dude, you're scaring her.
Right.
I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not scaring her. Like, but no, you are. And you need to be more patient. You need to be more humble. You need to be more gentle with her. And so I had to like be careful. And I noticed is that I had to like put my hands in my pocket because you can't you know, I look stupid trying to fight this way. Like, you know what I mean? Because I didn't want to scare her, right? And there was times where I felt like that had to happen.
I'm the one that had to put my hands in the pocket. I scared you. It's not lying.
Nicole's like, let's just be
You know
honest.
I was the scary one.
No, but there's just that I had to view it from their perspective, and
Right.
I don't know about you, but was there ever a time where you had to like go out of your way and get help outside of you? Like, did you have to get involved in a community or?
You know, for us, we honestly, I would say, stumbled upon by accident, you know, and accident's not the best way for your marriage to get better.
Right.
But for, I know.
It's true, because you really need to be intentional. It's a choice.
If you're gonna screw up,
I
screw
say
up
So it's an
by
accidental
accident.
choice.
So, you know what? I say by accident, but truth be told, it was God. You know,
Amen.
God put the people in our lives that we
Yep.
needed in our lives at that time. And so we ended up with a couple who was part of his actually youth football team, and they were a very godly couple, and they kind of ended up being mentors for us and showed us, whether they knew it or not at the time, what a good godly marriage should look like. You know, so I think that was a huge thing for us. And like I said it was by accident, but I guess it was by intervention, right? And so that was probably point one for us, was having that couple that was a little bit older than us, that had kind of was ahead of us in their journey, to look to and go, what they've got is magic, right? It's not magic, it's God.
Right.
It's intentional.
Right. It was intentional. They've been working on it. They've been, you know, they had their alignment was right. They had God first, and then their spouse second, and everything else just starts falling into place. And it really is just simple, but effective.
Right.
Right. So that was the first thing I would say for us. The second thing that was huge for us was, again, divine intervention, because when Echo City started, we were asked where our heart was if we would lead a city group. And we said, well, you know, our heart is for couples, because we'd been down that road, but we've never been in a group, and we've never led a group.
Right.
But hey, we'll try this thing.
We'll lead it.
We'll
Let's give it
totally
a
try.
shot.
We're like, we'll try leading a couples
Yeah,
group. That
yeah.
would be great. And that couples group was actually what we thought was going to be us leading all of these couples, and hey, this is how you do it, and was
like Jamie said, when the group first started, you know, we had a lot of people younger than us that were dating, and we were like, okay, we got this next generation that's currently dating and mating, and they're gonna need some wisdom and experience to help guide them along, and our group turned into us being one of the youngest couples in it. It was a combination of married and unmarried couples, and it wasn't just Echo City couples. We had a couple from Flatirons and a couple from the Orchard that were part of it.
But we found that just that community of being around other couples and being able to be authentic with them, to have those Me Too moments, right? The people are showing up at our house and we just finished a fight, and then being like, you guys okay? And kind of be like, yeah, no, it's fine. And then kind of as the evening's going on, to say, well, guys, this is what happened. And they're like, oh yeah, us too. You know, like that's totally. But you start realizing that it's normal. It's normal and it's okay. And you know, you start when you can kind of just be authentic and have that community that you can be authentic with. I think that really strengthened our marriage too, because honestly, up until that point, where if we've had friends, we had a lot of like my friends that were couples, their friends that were couples, but we didn't have a lot of those friends that we both felt passionate about, that were couples friends.
Right. And that was the other thing too, is with our city group, these were people that were invested into our lives. You know, we not only we opened our homes, we opened our hearts to them, and we shared with them things that people that have known us for 20 plus years don't know. And I guess the point I'm kind of trying to make with that is who you surround yourself with when times are good, and who you surround yourself with when times are not good, will have a huge impact
100%
on your marriage. Because if you have a fight, and we still have them every now and again, and you go to that friend that's toxic, that's just went through a divorce themselves and hates men or hates women, that's probably not the best place to go when you're fighting.
100%.
It's true, and it is true, because I mean, truth is misery loves company. You know,
100%. And that's what's so powerful when you get around other believers that have that same idea and mentality. Well, I just did a study recently that said that most millennials only have 2 friends, and maybe even if that. Like most people nowadays have no friends. No iron sharpening iron, as one brother does to
Right.
another brother, one man and does to another man, one woman does to another woman. There's none of that going on anymore.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of people out there alone and sad, and then they've got these two broken people getting into relationships, and that's where explosions all over the place, and there's no accountability. And what accountability is someone who knows everything about you but still believes in you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what's so good when you guys went through a city group, when you were around people who loved you, is that they know everything, every nook and cranny about you.
Yep.
I mean, that was one thing that me and Nicole love when we're around you, when we're around all these other people, is that you know everything about us, but yet you still let us lead you, which I don't understand why. but at the same time, it's that accountability, and it's that joy of saying, man, I don't have it together.
Right.
And that's okay. And I think a lot of people don't have that anymore.
Right.
And that's the key. I think that's what Jesus wanted from the very beginning. That's why he says, love your neighbor as yourself. He says, you got to let go of you.
Right.
You know, and that's the problem. I think a lot of times, a lot of people are trying to win relationships. They're trying to win and win and win. And God's like, the only win you can have is if the other person wins. Because even if I won and she lost, we lose, right?
Right.
Yes.
And it's the same way. And so that's one thing is, like, I'm so glad that you guys have got involved. You guys have got a part of a city group. You guys have joined rooted. You guys have done it all. And even though, I mean, there's been times where you guys still fight. You
We
know?
still fight, but we're also happier than we've ever been.
Right.
I would say,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the connections we've made hasn't alleviated problems in life. I mean, if anything, there's probably more. But we can walk through them together. I mean, I always know that no matter how bad life gets, she's going to be right by my side.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that's the power of marriage.
Right.
I think people don't understand that, is that a lot of people look at marriage as a magnifier and they look down on it. But what I love about it is marriage is a magnifier, and she loves me even though she knows me, and there's a deep connection that I don't think a lot of people have. And so one thing I will say is this is not just about marriages.
No.
This is about every relationship in life, but it's how this happy couples can really show you what relationships look like. And that's why when Jesus looks and he says, I want you to love each other as I loved the church and gave himself up for them. And that's the heart that I feel like a lot of people don't do anymore. And so if we can get this, right? If we can get that into our heart, if we can get that into our spirit, and as we go on a daily routine, you got to understand, happy couples know it's going to be hard.
Right.
It's going to be difficult. But can I just be honest? It's the best thing
It's going to be worth it.
Absolutely.
Could ever
It's
have.
going to be hard. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And there's so much intimacy and so much joy, and a lot more intimacy, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
If you just love your life. But I want to say thank you guys, honestly, for being here. And I know these guys are going to be on the stage and going to be ending this off, but I want to say thank you for being vulnerable and honest. And I will say this, is that we love you too.
We do.
Well, we
Love
love
you
you
guys.
guys.
We love you.
We believe in you. We believe God has some great things in store for you. And so we just want to say thank you, and we're praying for you.